Welcome to the PhoneUX Protocol. It's 5 tests in real-world scenarios. Let's dive in and see how the Pixel 10 Pro Fold stacks up. The first category is going to be the ergonomics. So the first test is the pinky shelf test, this is basically how I hold the phone. So a couple of things can affect this. Any sharp edges can cause discomfort on the finger, and the other thing is that the weight also makes a difference. It amplifies everything. One, it makes my finger get tired faster, and it adds any pressure points. It amplifies how bad that affects my finger. So the Pixel 10 Pro Fold is actually the heaviest folding phone in the current generation, at least the ones that are available in the United States. So the weight definitely comes into play here. It having a smooth back glass and smooth metal on the side, there isn't a lot of friction to help the other fingers on the back from, help it reduce the amount of strain on the pinky. Pretty much all of the weight goes onto the pinky and you can feel it. A positive here is that the phone is actually very balanced, which definitely helps. Actually, I think if it was a little bit more weight towards the bottom instead of the top, it will help even more. But you don't feel like the phone's gonna topple over or anything. It is very balanced. Another thing about it is that the phone is actually pretty wide. It's not a huge screen, but there is some large bezels, and even the edge here from the end of the bezel to the end of the phone is a little extra, so it adds to the width. It's much wider than a phone of this screen size would normally be, and that's gonna affect the ability to reach across. I mean, yeah, you could definitely do it, but you have to adjust your hands. But I guess that the good thing is that it's not a slippery phone. So I have phones that are slippery. This is not one of them. It's not bad at all. The last thing I want to point out in this category is the shape of it, because most folding phones have what I call the D shape, basically a squared off end here and then rounded here. But the squared off edges here are actually still very much rounded. These corners are not gonna dig into your hand or anything. They're actually very comfortable. The only thing is just it's not symmetrical is all. The ergonomics, on a scale of 1 to 10, I will give it a 7. The next category is the camera speed. This goes for multiple different parts of the camera. First one is just starting up. It's ready before I'm even ready myself to press the shutter button. So the loading is not going to slow you down at all, because it's faster than what we would be ready to use anyway. The second thing is the shutter lag. With Pixel, it's basically instant. Like, as soon as I'm pressing the shutter here, it's taking the photo. That was the volume, so not pressing this shutter button, it's instantly taking the photo. However, what could come into play is the ability to switch to different modes. To get to video mode is very easy, especially with Pixel, that they added a separator here between photo and video, and it's very quick, so that's not bad. Where it could come into play is switching to different modes that you might want to be looking for, and it's not that it's very fast, it's very fluid. You can switch pretty easily between the modes, but the thing is that you can't organize them how you like. The camera speed on this one, I'm giving it a 9. The third category is going to be the haptics. In my opinion, Pixel has probably the best feeling haptic, and they actually use it really well. So a couple examples is the keyboard. So you can start typing here and the keyboard has great haptics. Another one is going to be the volume. Could go all the way to the top and then all the way to the bottom. But as soon as you hit the top or the bottom, there is a nice clunk that you feel that lets you know you've already reached the max or the minimum. And in case you don't like it or you want to adjust it, Google lets you go to the settings and actually adjust the haptics to your liking, or turn them off altogether. I guess the one knock I would give for the Pixel 10 Pro Fold is that the haptics are a bit weaker than the regular Pro models, the slab models. It's still, even being a little bit weaker, this is still, I would consider it to be, the second best, just because it's not as strong as the other two. For haptics, I'm giving it an 8. I would give it a 9, but I would say it's a step behind the pros that I will give a 9 to, so I'm giving it an 8. The next category is Immersion. So this is for both audio and visual. Starting with audio, the speakers overall are really good. They feel like when you're watching it, you're not paying attention too much. They feel pretty balanced. But if you start like listening closely and messing with the speakers, like covering one up and the other, you'll notice that most of the work is being done by the bottom speaker. It has pretty much all of the bass, and it provides the most input. When you cover it up, you definitely feel it. When it comes to the screens, viewing them outdoor, both actually the outer and inner provide good viewing experiences. They're both really bright. They're actually really close, the outer one being a little bit brighter on the max brightness, but not the peak brightness, which is the one that kicks in automatically. The peak brightness are both measured at the same, so if you're outside, you're gonna see both the outer and the inner the same. Only thing is that outside you're gonna see the crease a lot, because that's the folding phone's kryptonite, bright sunlight, because it'll show that crease a lot. And the inside screen is more susceptible to damage, one being larger, easier to hit, and two being weaker. So be careful when you're using it outside, but it can be done. Another one that actually is pretty important for folding phones is the camera cutout. So Pixel went with a cutout instead of under display, which is the case for most phones, even the newest Samsung. But they placed it on the corner, which I think is a very important fact right there. When it's in the corner, it's not obstructing pretty much anything, so it really doesn't bother any app whatsoever. And that's really important when you're watching video in landscape view, that takes up all this space. It's gonna be up here in the top, and let me actually bring up a video and lower the volume all the way, bring up Netflix. Let's start this up. So you can see right here that the video takes up all the way up to here. This one might be like a 2x1 or a little bit less. It's definitely not 16:9, but you can see the cutout is all the way up here. You can't even see it, so you get a full screen right here with no interruption, and that's great. In terms of immersion, I'm going to a 7 here. The last category is going to be multitasking. So in this scenario, I have Chrome open, and let's say I want to get the calculator up here, and it's actually right here. I can just drag it over. So it's very easy to set it up to start up the split screen, especially with the taskbar here. I like that it's hidden because it doesn't interrupt or take away from the screen's real estate. But it's also still very easy to just click here and get the app you want. Another good thing about it is that you can adjust it to like a 75-25 type of layout, or you can go to the new 90-10 layout where it's kind of like two almost full screens, and that provides probably the best experience if you have two apps that need a lot of space. The adjustments are seamless. The apps open up really quickly. Like I feel like there's no delay whatsoever. Switching them has a nice smooth transition. Like if it's two cards sliding over each other, it's just a great looking multitasking experience. I'll say the limitation is that there's no floating windows and it's limited to 2 apps. So if you do want more than 2 apps, it's not really possible. I mean, with notifications, you could like reply to messages there on the notification bar and things like that, but you just can't get another app on here when there's already 2. You can just replace it is all. There's no sign of lag. There's no sign of the processor even struggling. The phone doesn't get hot when you're doing this. It works perfectly well. Google did a really good job with this. And then lastly, I'm giving the multitasking a 7. So with all those scores together, that gives the Pixel 10 Pro Fold a 38 out of 50 possible points, which this is the first one. It seems like a fairly solid score, but I'm sure there are some phones that may be able to beat this. It seems like it left some room to be able to beat it. So we'll see how it goes with the other phones coming up. In 2 weeks, I will be doing another phone, so be sure to subscribe to watch that one. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one.